such an amazing thing how far we have come in this day and age. Now, I do have my notes here, so I don't want to forget anything. So, in February of 1957, a boy was found naked in a box in the Fox Chase neighborhood of Philadelphia, which, if you are not familiar with, it is a wealthy neighborhood. Now, it was estimated that the boy was to be approximately 4 years old. When investigators got to the site, they noted that the little boy had cuts and scrapes on him and his head was shaven. According to medical examination found, the scars were on his neck, groin, and left ankle, and it was also noted that he was severely malnourished and underweight for his age. At this time, a young man had come forward and said he actually found the boy. The gentleman was said to be about early 20s, and he claimed he found the boy in the box. However, he did not want to be labeled as a prime suspect because he was checking traps apparently. But he was never labeled as a person of interest anyway. After investigators did their initial findings and medical exam and sent actual photographs of the boy, they printed on over 400,000 flyers and sent them out nationwide with no luck on return whatsoever. It should also be noted that there was an investigator that was doing, I guess you could say, tracing of the little boy's features, thought he may have lived as a girl given that his head was shaved, which is very odd to say the least. So they also sent flyers out to local hospitals and such as places stating that it could have been a little girl masking as a boy as well. The little boy was found in a brown JCPenney's box, which had a serial number on it, which was used for cribs at that time. I believe it was 12 cribs that had gone out with this same company, JCPenney, and all the cribs and children were accounted for when they led to the investigation, which I believe was as far away as Iowa. A blue hat was also found at the scene about approximately 15 feet away from the little boy. It didn't have any designer labels or tags in it. It was just thought to be a children's hat that he wore. Maybe hence why he had a shaved head and was wearing that. But it did come back that the DNA test did confirm that it was his hat. After a few weeks of this investigation going on, even nationwide, a $15,000 reward, which started out at $5,000 and then was upped to $15,000, was offered for anybody who had any information about the boy in the box, which again led nowhere. Fast forward 67 years to December of 2022, and the case is actually solved through DNA genealogy. The little boy was identified as Joseph Augustus Zarelli. His parents were Augustus John Zarelli and Mary Elizabeth Abel, otherwise known as Betsy. Now, it is also worth noting that these two were not married, and it was said that this man was actually having an affair because he was supposed to be getting married or was married to somebody. And it is also believed that Mary Elizabeth gave Joseph up for adoption because they were not married as well. The father, Augustus, was actually an Italian immigrant, and it is said that he had mob ties to not only Italy but also the Philadelphia region and as far as Boston. Mary Elizabeth herself apparently never married, and she never had any other children according to records from that time. And it is said that Joseph was her only child, but he was sent to the orphanage to live shortly after she had given birth to him in the hospital. Since both parents are actually deceased, there's no real way of knowing what or when what happened to both of them after he was put up for adoption or technically remained at the local orphanage in Philadelphia. There is a bit of good news to this story though. Joseph's final resting place actually got a headstone with his name on it in 2023. is that because through the DNA genealogy that these investigators were able to solve this case with, he does have actual living family in Philadelphia itself. However, they did wish to remain anonymous for the sake of this video, which I totally understand about, given how public and publicized this has been for decades. I also want to say that I do have some theories about what happened. I have a theory about what happened to this little boy. Given all my research that I have done on this particular cold case and stuff that I have read, videos that I have seen, it is prominent worth noting that in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, orphanages were not the greatest places for children because they were also a large place of profit. And if they could not profit off of children, a lot of these places were known to kill children. And I know that sounds graphic, but it is the God's honest truth. And if they are not adopted out by a certain age, the orphanage considered them worthless and a wasted resource. So I think that this little boy was killed by staff. Now again, this is all alleged and nothing can really prove this, but I think he was killed by staff, placed in the box, basically stripped of his identity because he was malnourished, and these places were noted for not having the greatest environment, especially with children, and he was killed by staff. So because nobody wanted to adopt him and he was not profitable to them, so they got rid of the problem, and I'm sure they did it to many other children. Now again, this is all alleged and my own personal opinion. So I hope you guys like this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.